Hey, welcome to Avine Mary. Avine Mary Doyle is my name. And I just thought I'd jump on here and share a few thoughts of late. So, I feel like people are really hungry for the truth more than ever before. I feel like people are crying out for something that's real, you know. I've been feeling this and having this conversation with my very aware, high conscious community and friends, and I feel like people are tired of this fake book, artificial, jumping on trends, look at me, trying to get attention kind of energy that's been online, that's been in life. Because I mean, at the end of the day, the internet is just a reflection of who we are as a society, as a world, as a community. But I feel since COVID and the pandemic took advantage of the fact that we were isolated, we were looking for ways to connect, and really drilled in the addiction to the online social network type thing. I feel we've gotten so caught up in artifice and superfluous, very shallow baseline stuff. I think there's a lot of social media platforms that are absolutely juvenile, to be honest. And I'm always going to be honest about that. And I really feel like having a so-called smartphone, but as Barbara Marciniak, channeling the Pleiadians years ago, back in the 80s, would have told us and predicted, these smartphones should be called dumb phones because they actually make you dumb. I mean, we don't even remember phone numbers anymore. We don't use our brains like we used to. We used to go to the library. I remember I loved the library. I worked in the library. I was a librarian assistant. But before that, in my teens and in my childhood, one of my favorite things to do was take a trip to the library. I went with my brother, and I went then as a young prepubescent with my friend. And I have great memories of, you know, the excitement of getting a bunch of new books to read and to explore and develop. And instead now we are distracted. It's just constant distraction, and it's constant bombardment of overstimulation and being overwhelmed with information. Now, it depends on what that information is, and unfortunately, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, fake book, it's all pumped at consumerism, selling. It's trying to convince you that you have a need you don't have, or you have a problem that you don't have. It's just about preying on people's vulnerabilities and fears. And I honestly feel like I was doing great with the whole phone. I hardly ever used my phone. In fact, many's a time when I was working in Kumai Lodge with people in addiction recovery, I had clients comment and say, "Do you even have a phone? I've never seen you on your phone." And I'm like, yeah, because I don't need to be. I'm in work, I'm teaching classes, I'm running groups, I'm doing healing sessions. Why would I be on my phone? And in my break, I want to sit with my colleagues and clients, and I want to connect, I want to talk, I want to interact. So I was a pretty old-fashioned girl up to that point, doing great. I was happy being an old-fashioned girl. I loved that I didn't turn my phone on until I absolutely had to. And then COVID hit. And I had just moved 3 months before COVID hit to a brand new place, a quiet seaside town in County Louth. And I love that place, but I didn't know anybody. I moved there with my then partner, and it was up the road. He was pretty much from there, and he didn't get to take a break. You know the way most of us, our jobs shut down and we were at home most of the time for a while, for like 2 years or even more for some people. I was totally isolated, and there's only so much scrubbing your floors and washing the dishes and doing the laundry and going up and down to the beach 4 times a day you can do. And I started to get pulled into the online stuff. And I also feel that the pandemic was a great excuse for the powers that were to force digital money, in that we're not accepting cash anymore. It has to be through a credit card or through a debit card. I think there was a lot of things pushed on people and instilled in the consciousness that was not a benefit during that time. I really do feel like having a so-called smartphone, which I will now call a dumb phone, has ruined my life in many ways. It's definitely made me more isolated. It's affected friendships, because instead of having to make the effort to go and stay in touch with friends, we think that the friendship is still thriving because we send a text here and there, or we have the odd, face-to-face time. And I think this is a real shame, and I think that people are hungry for real life. And I've been saying this in so many of my videos, but I actually feel like I'm disappointed, guys. I don't think this phone that I'm actually using to record this video, which is ironic, that's the dichotomy of it. Like, this technology can be so beneficial and so useful when it's used in a healthy, harmonious way that works with and complements the natural organism that is the human being. But unfortunately, and it's being right done under our noses, there's actually a whole lot going on here that's really detrimental to our well-being and to our health. And there's a lot of things pumped into the frequency of popular culture that is actually negative programs, it's entities, and it's really affecting everybody, but especially our young people, our younger people, our kids, our teens in our community. The amount of young girls and boys that have porn addiction, anxiety, FOMO, fear of missing out, FOMO, right, is absolutely through the roof. I was doing a DBT course and a CBT course, cognitive behavioural therapy, and the woman who runs it is brilliant, and she's a long time in the field, and she's a brilliant psychotherapist. And she was saying to me, we were talking about it, and she was saying, you would not believe the amount of teenagers that she has coming to her as clients for therapy who are distraught if they don't get so many likes on a post. They are distraught and they're embarrassed and ashamed if their online Facebook or Instagram account isn't popular or isn't liked, or if somebody doesn't text back who's seen a text and they can see the ticks, right? All these things are just feeding the shadow self, feeding the inner critic, feeding the darker side of our natures that's full of fear and anxiety. And that, anxiety is a natural part of life. I'm not saying that we wouldn't have anxiety if we didn't have any phones. But they've definitely enhanced, or not enhanced, that's the wrong word. They've added to the human's challenges of getting through life. And I can't tell you the amount of times I thought I would just love to go back to to the analog, to the pre-digital time, where people actually knocked on the door as friends and family, and people, if somebody had a baby, you made the effort to go and see the baby. You didn't just look up on their, Instagram account to see their new baby. Or people had to make the effort in romance. Like, don't even get me started on dating apps. Haven't been on a dating app in years and years and years, thank you God. I think the last time I was on one, when was it, 2015 or something? 2016 maybe? Don't really keep track of dates, but I remember unwillingly going on one, because again, people have stopped approaching people. Like, it used to be you were out and about, you were in the pub with your friends at the weekend. The guy had to do the walk. He had to walk towards you in front of the whole community and say, hi, I like you, can I buy you a drink? Or, hi, I like you in some other way. Or, hi, my name is John. How are you getting on? Are you having a good time? That's part of initiation. That's part of the mating process, that the male has to muster up his masculine energy and do the walk towards the feminine. And she has to decide when he's coming towards her, are we going to go with this or not? There's beautiful parts of life being missed out on because people can just go online and click a button. And by the way, how's that working out for you if you're doing that? Because the amount of people I talk to, I actually had a male client last year say to me that by his phone and being online and being on dating apps, it was stopping him from going out into the world and actually pursuing a girlfriend, a mate, someone to share his life with, because he said porn is just so accessible and it was desensitizing him to the beauty of a flesh and blood woman, real life interaction. And I've seen this time and time again, especially with younger men getting younger and younger. And even now you have some young girls are getting addicted to porn. So the dating apps, as I said, years ago, I remember going on one, and I never lasted on them for long because I just found them so artificial, superficial. You'd get all these messages about, first of all, you'd often get a slew of inappropriate, totally sexualized, offensive messages. And then you'd get other ones that were, about your photograph or something. Not even about what they wanted or what they were looking for. I'm not saying there wasn't genuine people on there. There certainly was. And I know that there's lots of genuine people looking to find a soulmate, and I get that that's the way it's gone, and sometimes we just have to move with the times. But I think I was on it for about 2 months, if even, and I swear to God, I woke up one morning and the angel said to me, Aveen, come off the dating app and delete your profile. We don't want you on that. And I was so happy to get that angelic instruction, let me tell you. And I remember it was about 3 months after that, about 3.5 months after that, I met my partner who I moved to that said town I was talking about earlier with, who I was with for 5 years. So I think that's really important that you follow the prompts of your guides, of your angel guides, your spirit guides. Sometimes an ancestor will come, we can have great-great-grandparents who are very connected to us and very invested in us and see us struggling, and they can come in a dream or they can come in a vision or a meditation. I think it's really important that we heed that advice. If I had to start second guessing myself and saying, letting my ego mind argue with the angel's advice and saying, well, if I don't do this, I'm not going to get to date people and I'm ready to meet somebody. I didn't do that. I always trust the angel's advice. And when I don't, I have a hard time. I learn that that's the wrong way to go. So hopefully at this stage, I've learned the lesson that you're better off just to listen to your angels and pay attention, because I usually suffer, in inverted commas, when I go the other direction. But yeah, I've moved to County Meath. I'm looking to meet new people, like as friends. Myself and my boyfriend are in a new village, and yeah, it's crazy to me how difficult it's become to have real life flesh and blood interactions with people. And I think we've just gotten so head down into the phone, you know. The amount of people who walk by me just nearly walk into me, you know, because they're like it's sad. We are social beings, you know. We're like dolphins. We we need each other, and we need to be interacting, and we need to be connecting. And I really miss connection. I miss the old-fashioned knock on the door, dropping in. That's another thing. Like, people now, everything is scheduled and organized just so intensely that we've missed the art of being spontaneous. You know, it used to be years ago in Ireland, your parents would say, we're going to visit your aunt and uncle today and your cousins. And you were like, oh, and it was like just this very spontaneous, natural thing, very impulsive. That day is gone. Everybody's so busy. Everybody's trying to keep up with the Joneses. I just feel that deep down, most people, whether they know it or not, are hungry for tribe, community, connection. And it takes courage to create that, because we have to trust again. We have to put ourselves out into the world. And, you know, I'm looking out now at the tennis club. There's this gorgeous actual club. You pay a couple of £100 for a subscription. And there's constantly, like, it's a lovely tennis club, and I can see the community. Right now I'm looking at, there's some older ladies playing tennis, and it's just beautiful. It's so inspiring. I can see these people have probably been playing tennis their whole life, and there's everything. There's kids, who's over there? Yeah, there's kids as well that play, and there's teenagers. Like, there's from age 2 and 3 right the way up into like what looks like 70s, 80s. It's so inspiring. But it's also, I love the laughter. I love the claps. I love, like, it's competitive tennis, but it's also a lot of social tennis. And then they all go up onto the decking. I just love watching it, because I'm like, oh, I just want to be part of some kind of club like that, where everybody's, you can tell these are people who've probably known each other for years, and they're having their water and their tea, and they're having a chat, and they sit around at night, and this tennis club is always going. And it's like, wow, I would love to create. I always had this vision or dream of creating some kind of community where everybody's just free to be who they are, and to be embraced as they are, and everybody's free to share their authentic gifts. But yeah, I don't know, sometimes I really feel like having a smartphone ruined my life in so many ways. And I'm definitely not proud of the addiction that developed during COVID with it, because again, I didn't know anybody in this new place. I was very isolated. I was on my own from 6 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock in the evening, 5 days a week, and even sometimes longer than that. So it was a really tough time. But when I say this to people who know me, they laugh, because they're like, you really don't have that big of addiction. Like, they tell me they have friends who literally can't go to the toilet without their phone, and they have to be on their phone all the time, and they have to constantly check it. Now, it's not that kind of thing, but it's more, I think I would turn to my phone instead now of turning to a friend, or picking up the phone, or making a phone call to say, hey, can we meet up? Or where in the past I would go and visit someone and sit with them for a couple of hours and actually really connect and have a juicy conversation. I think it's just too easy to pop on, like, this is the dichotomy, pop onto YouTube, right? So, you know what, on that note, I'm going to say, end this video, go and call your friend, send the text and talk to someone, ask to see them, or even just go up and knock on their door and say, hey, I'm old school. I wanted to connect with my friend and see how you are. Maybe we need to create more balance with this new technology, and we do need to bring awareness with this AI, because I have concerns, guys, about the direction it's going, but I try not to fuel that. I try not to give it any energy, but at the same time, we have to address the imbalances that are there. So on that note, let's get off this video and let's go and have some real life. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. If you enjoy this content, give me a like, come along for the ride, and I'll see you again. But we'll keep it in balance. We'll try to bring as much harmony and vitality as we can. Again, this technology can be used for wonderful things. I don't think we figured it out yet, but look, by discussing it and having these conversations, we're on the way. Namaste.